The purpose of this video is to explain how to work with images on your chapter site. We're going to cover 5 topics: what is acceptable content, how to upload and manage images, how to insert an image in your chapter site, how to resize an image, and how to crop an image. YMSL must follow copyright law, and for that reason we ask that you only use non-copyrighted images and photos on your chapter site. In the Files area of your chapter site, in the Website Training folder, is a document that lists several resources where you can find free downloadable images and clip art that you can use on your chapter site. Once you have non-copyrighted material that you want to use on your site, you'll need to upload it. On the toolbar, when you're editing the site, you'll notice there's an icon that looks like a picture. If you hover over it, it's called the Image Manager. When you click on that, that brings up the Image Manager dialog box. This is where all of the images that are being used on the chapter site are maintained. You'll notice there's only 21 on this site. That's not too many. If you come out to your site and see that there's several hundred, it's probably time to go ahead and delete an image or two from your site. When you're ready to delete an image, simply click on it. Hit the X at the top, which will delete it. Now, before you say OK, be sure that it's not being used. If you delete an image that is being used, it will be completely deleted from your site, including where it's currently being used in the content section. I know this isn't being used, so I'll go ahead and click OK to delete it. And now we have 20. Now let's talk about uploading images. On this site, we have facial tissues and highlighters as the August wish list. I'm going to add 2 images to give the members a visual cue about the items that are being requested. To upload an image, simply click on the Upload, and this opens a dialog box that allows you to upload multiple files at one time. 3 is the default. If you wanted to do more, just simply click the Add, and that will add additional rows. Click the Select, and that will take you out to your file manager on your computer. And I happen to have already downloaded from a free site 2 images, one for tissues and one for highlighters, and these are both non-copyrighted images. You'll notice there's a checkbox here for overwrite if file exists. I've never had any luck with that working. You can give it a try and see if it works for you, but that's never worked for me. You can also see that the maximum file size is 10 megabytes, and there's a whole list of extensions that are considered images that you can upload. Pretty standard: PNGs, TIFFs, JPEGs, TIFFs. You'll notice that PDF is not listed because PDF is not considered an image file format. So I'm going to go ahead and upload the tissues and the highlighters, and now you'll see that they appear here on the site. All right, when you're ready to insert, you simply place your cursor where you want the image to go. Go to the Image Manager, select the image, and then click Insert. Now you'll notice that came in a little bigger than you probably want, so that's easy to resize. Simply click on it with your left button, and then right-click and choose Properties. That brings up a dialog box that allows you to set some of the properties of the image, the width and the height. You can actually add a border color, etc. Now you'll notice there's an icon here that looks like a piece of broken chain. That is an icon that maintains the aspect ratio or the proportions of your image. When you're resizing an image, you want to make sure that you click on that so that you get a connected chain. That will ensure that the length, the width, and the height of the image maintain the ratio that they have now, and thus whenever you go to shrink it, it's not going to get distorted horizontally or vertically. Because I've connected the chain and I'm keeping the ratio of the height and the width the same, when I edit this height, the width will also change. So I'm going to set this to be 100. And you'll notice the width changed automatically. Okay, and there the image is resized. Let's go ahead and insert our image for facial tissues. Go to the Image Manager, select the image, Insert. All right, you'll notice 2 things about this image. Not only is it too big like it was with the highlighters, of course we could correct that just by resizing it. You'll also notice that there is some empty white space around this image, which I'd like to get rid of that. So how do we do that? That's through copying. I'm just going to hit backspace and get rid of that image. Go back to the Image Manager, select the image, and you'll notice there's an icon here for Image Editor. When you click that, it brings up another dialog box that allows you to edit the image. You can shrink resize, expand, and there's even a custom zoom. This icon is used for cropping. If you've worked with any of the Microsoft Office tools, you'll recognize this image as the cropping icon that shows up there. So we'll click that, and that brings up a little box that we can move around to select the portion of the image that we want to keep. Simply move it to where you want to keep the image, and then resize it. Well, you'll notice as I'm resizing this that it is keeping it the original shape. In other words, the length and the width, the ratio of that, or the aspect ratio, is remaining the same. Well, in this case, I really don't want to do that. I want actually a custom area. So you'll see again the connected piece of chain, and it's actually marked here as constrained proportions. In this case, we do not want to constrain proportions. We want to break the original aspect ratio. To do that, you need to just simply unclick that, and now you have a broken chain. And now that I have a broken chain, I can come in and select the portion of the image that I want to keep, and I'm now able to get a custom shape, and it's no longer maintaining the original aspect ratio. When you're done cropping, you'll hit the crop button. And notice that I'm using this box to select the content that I want to keep. So we'll crop it. And now we need to save this. Before we save, you'll notice that it says save as. It's going to create a new file. Thumb, save as underscore thumb is the default. I'm going to call it version 2 or V2. And you'll notice there's a little checkbox here for overwrite if file exists. I've not had any luck with that. If you're thinking that maybe, oh, I don't need a new version of this, I only want the cropped one, and you want to just call it tissues, and you click the overwrite, I've never gotten that to work. Maybe it will work for you, but it's never worked for me. So I'm going to save it as version 2. And now I'm going to insert that into my site. Again, make sure we have tissues and tissues version 2, and I want to use the version 2. You could come in here if you wanted and delete that tissues version. I'll leave that there for now. Insert. Now you'll notice when I select it, it is too big, but at least it doesn't have the area of white space. So again, I'll right click, Properties, make sure the chain is connected to maintain the aspect ratio, and resize it. You may have noticed when we were in the Image Manager, in the editor, that there was a resize button. This is a second way to resize an image. The difference between resizing in the Image Manager and resizing once you've pasted the content into your site is that when you resize the Image Manager, it's going to keep that file as the original source that you have. So once, if I was to come in here and say 100 and resize this, and I would have to save it as a new file, I now have another version of that file that I may not necessarily need. By editing the size directly in the content of your site, you're not having to save another version of it. So for example, the highlighters, we only have one version. If I chose to size it inside the image editor instead of directly in the page, I would have ended up with another version. So again, the sizing here is only sizing this particular instance of it. It's not sizing the source. And you can come in here and size it as often as you'd like. So the last thing I want to show you is, again, inserting an image. Sometimes when you insert an image, you'll get one that is very large. All right, and it will look like that. Don't panic. Just simply click on it, right-click to Properties, and it's back to a normal size. That's how to work with images on your chapter site.